What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building.
I'm joined today with Kimberly McCall. How you doing today, Kimberly?
Good, good. Thanks for having me.
Good, good. Yeah, it's with the cold and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of so, right? Does everybody refer to you as Kimberly, or is it Kim, or Kimberly the
Lovely,
best?
Kim. Yeah.
Okay, cool, Kim. Cool. All right, awesome. And for those of you who haven't seen a chance encounter before, this is how it works. I interview commercial real estate investors, and then I go through the 5 different motivations that commercial real estate investors generally have for why are they doing all this stuff and why are they continuing to do it. And I say, hey, which one's you? Then I go through my Dan Does Deal die with the 6 different roles in a commercial deal, and I say, which one's your core competency that you're most likely to bring to your next commercial deal. But one of the most important things, if you're going to make all this stuff works, is you got to be able to introduce yourself. So Kim, can you please introduce yourself for the audience?
Absolutely. I'm Kim McCall. I currently live in Spokane, Washington, but we're making a move down to Utah soon, like this week. Right, we're spending the holidays with our family.
Mm-hmm.
I am a wife and mother of 5, so the
Mm-hmm.
youngest will pop his head in here and there. But we started in single family flipping and realized that that wasn't enough. So we're, found our way to the multifamily world and learning, about passive income and what it could do for our family and their family.
All right, that's a beautiful thing. So let's move on to the first segment, which is the motivation piece, which I have to click on that, and then I have to click on this, and then I have to click on this, and I click on this, and boom, there it is. Now, sometimes we end up interviewing a bunch of beginners, and so that's why it's important to go through the motivation first, because people know what their motivation is, even if they don't know what their role is going to be. So the first motivation that people have is to preserve the purchasing power. And so if you have enough wealth where you depend on the cash flow that comes from that wealth to make ends meet, then this is you. You're preserving your purchasing power. Your big enemy is inflation, because that's going to eat away at the value of that cash flow. So you need to keep on making these additional acquisitions to stave off inflation. So that's the first reason. The second reason is my one, which is I'm trading time for wealth. My background is in e-commerce technology, mass marketing, emailing the crap out of a bunch of people for 7-figure businesses. And that's a high paying salary, but I'm also paying the highest amount of income tax, the highest amount of tax you can, which is income tax. Whereas my pivot into the commercial space and joining GP teams, gaining equity in return for my time and effort is what I'm up to, because that way I'm not just paying a bunch of income tax and then whatever's left I put in. Instead, that's the main focus. So that's what I'm up to. The next reason is the most common one. People want to fast track their retirement. There are a couple things that are implied when I say fast tracking retirement, which is that somebody in their early 20s, if they're saying they're fast tracking their retirement, I'm not really going to buy it. They probably have student debt or whatever by that point. But the bigger one is fast tracking retirement also means that at some point you're going to say, you know what, that's enough. Now I'm going to retire, live on a beach or on a mountaintop or cabin in the woods, whatever it is. And they're going to say, it's like, that's enough of this for me. Whereas the next group, they're never going to quit. They're super ambitious. They want to buy their entire hometown. They want to have a skyscraper with their name on it. They want to have the biggest yacht in the pier. You get the idea. They're going to keep on hustling till they're in their 90s. They're very handy people to have in your GP group. And there's nothing wrong with that. These are the people who are looking for generational wealth. And then the fifth motivation is quite different from that one. It's even though there's some overlap, which is some people have a sector of society, or maybe it's the environment or animals or something that they really want to help. And they've realized that the most effective vehicle for making a huge impact on society is by accumulating wealth, so that when you're, basically old and ready to, say, okay, that's enough, then you've got more to give to that sector of society. So those are the 5 different motivations that I've found. So what combination of those or which ones of those really resonate with you best, Kim?
Well, I definitely like the first one, right? Like where we're trying to get passive cash flow, and it is, like I kind of touched on it for our children's sake, like, and so the generational, but I chuckle at the, hustlers till you're 90, because I think I slowly, like, not slowly, like it's hidden in there somewhere. Like I can see, especially, we started in the height of COVID, right? Like, because we did buy into an educational company. And so I'm working from home and I'm learning I could do this business anywhere. So I could do it off the biggest yacht in the pier, or, so I love it. So definitely the biggest factor was, for generations. But I
Good
think
stuff.
I enjoy it. I definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, I definitely get it. And it's like when do you really think you're not going to be capable of making a good financial decision, right? So like it does make sense to be in your 90s and still, like having some hand in these assets, the buying, the selling, the fundamentals from all your experience. So I totally get that. But let's get into the specifics as far as the roles go. And you and the camera, maybe you don't know commercial real estate that well. So that's why I go right from the beginning and explains like, how does a normal person go to a big apartment complex and say, I want to buy part of that, even if they don't have a whole bunch of cash, friends, family, whatever. So let's go through those different roles. The first role is the repositioner role. Okay. And what a repositioner does, you can see I got a few different properties here, is they look at all sorts of different properties and they do something called underwriting, which means they do the math to make sure that the property makes sense. But the other thing that a repositioner is up to reposition, is to figure out how can they get more upside. And there are 2 main tools in their tool belt to get upside. The first one is more efficient operations. So they make sure that less money goes down the drain or down the toilet. You got the Benjamins going down here. Anything to do with money is also part of operations. It's all involved. And anytime you're cutting expenses, that means that your building's making more money. So that's one of the ways to get upside right now, because real estate's so hot. That's probably not going to cut it on its own. So a lot of repositioners and a lot of deals, they get a contractor team so they can fix the place up, and then they can charge more in rent, or they can lease it for more money. Okay, but there's a problem with having contractors and operators if you're a repositioner like me from the internet, which is that I don't want to even have to find my passport in an hour, but you're going to need somebody on staff who can be there in an hour or 2. In other words, you're going to need a local. You're going to need the boots on the ground, somebody who can check in the property, make sure that the operations aren't cutting corners, they're not sloughing the photos that they're sending you to show that everything's okay, and then the contractors, they aren't cutting any corners and they're meeting their deadlines and all that kind of stuff. So somebody who lives in an apartment complex would probably think that these are basically the owners and the operating team, but of course there's more to it than that. The banks are always involved, okay? The capital raisers, the financiers. So if you want to buy a property that's worth tens of millions of dollars, you're going to have to go to a bank and say, hey, can you lend me tens of millions of dollars? And what the financier is going to say is like, well, who's your sponsor? And that's the one that they kind of skip over in a lot of training courses, a lot of real estate coaching and all that kind of stuff. And there's a reason for that. I can get to it some other time, but let's talk about what a sponsor or KP is. If you want to get a loan and you want to buy, a 350 unit apartment complex, 1100 unit, whatever it is, if you want to get a loan, you have to have somebody in the fold who already owns a similar asset. So even if you're Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or whoever, if you want to get a loan to pick up the property, you have to have somebody in the fold who already owns a similar asset. And there are some other restrictions as well. The KP sponsor and the team are going to have to come up with some liquidity, and there has to be a balance sheet worth at least as much as the amount of the loan. But if you got those 6 pieces, then boom, you now have a commercial real estate deal. So Kim, out of those different roles, what's your core competency? What are you most likely to contribute in your next commercial deal?
Um, I definitely am in the beginning stages. So I find the deals, talking to the brokers, underwriting them, bringing
Okay.
it to sponsors.
Great. So that's repositioner slash sponsor, and that's what you're really doing. So you're looking for deals. And then as far as like an ideal property goes, as far as like unit count, geography, and the class of the property, what's your ideal property that is easier to say yes to and it's more difficult to say no for?
So we are definitely our focus. So when I signed up for educational company, we definitely were taught value adds. And so, that B property in the C area, classic, which is what a lot of, what a lot of people are taught and learning. And so I see the value in it. I see the value of the value add. So right now, that's where I'm starting.
Okay. And as far as like geographic areas, like do you have any boots in the ground part where you're like, you said you're moving to Utah, right? Utah is very, very hot. And so like, I mean, like for the real estate part right now, it's winter, so it's not, hot,
Yeah.
hot, but like, you know what I mean? So like, are there particular states that you prefer to get involved in, or?
Yeah, so we currently own assets in Houston, in the Houston market, but my husband was from San Antonio, so I think it was just a way to get home, and then we definitely feel safe with the state being owner friendly. So right now we gravitate towards Texas, but we're always researching markets and trying to find growth.
Awesome. And part of that is networking and meeting people, which is one of the most amazing parts about commercial real estate is everybody's so friendly. I chalk it up to because, everybody's a different side of the die and you need all of them in order to do what we do. So everybody's very helpful. Now, of course, there are some SEC restrictions, which is that you're not allowed to entice investors. So other than enticing investors, Kim, can you describe the people in real estate where you're better suited to help them than other types of real estate people? So maybe it's operators, maybe it's beginners. Like who are you best suited? Like who's the best person to reach out to you and get the most help than anybody else?
I definitely love talking to new investors. And I think it's because I'm comfortable there. When I start to talk to people that's like, super experienced or no more, I love to listen, but like I'll like, listen into someone else's conversation, but it's harder for me to like want to reach out. I feel, I don't know if it's intimidated, but again, I've been home for over 11 years. So even when we were doing the single family flipping, it was just us. Like we did it as a family. And my husband did all the work. And so, I talked to our realtor, but, so that was easy. But so when it comes to talking to newbies, I'm like, yes, I love to talk to you because I'm just there. I'm just starting, or, we just closed our first deal. So that's where I feel comfortable. But I definitely, my favorite quote is, if you can be comfortable with being uncomfortable, then, you'll be successful.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it's just so funny because, like I've also been working from home for 11 years, but I've been doing like the technology, all the web-based mass marketing and all that. So I definitely get that, where it's just like the idea of, just being around a gazillion people or something like that. You got to prep yourself up a little bit. I get that. That's really great. So if somebody does want to reach out with you because they, like you just described them, or, like you're well positioned to help them, what's the best way to reach out to you? Like we met through some meetups that I found through LinkedIn. Maybe you have a website or something, but what's the best way to reach out to you, Kim?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, which I need to get better at. Facebook is probably where I'm most active. And we do have a website. It's our multifamilyvaluepartners.com.
All right, awesome. And one more thing, which is for you in the camera, which is if you look very carefully under my left hand, you'll see a red button, and it makes people so angry. It says subscribe. The only way to stop people from getting angry is by clicking on it and turning it gray. And the reason for that is because it means YouTube pays for these videos instead of me. It's much, much, much better. And it doesn't cost you anything. All it means is that my videos might show up on your list of suggestions. So please do that. And you've done me a huge favor. You don't have to watch the other videos or whatever. It's nice if you do, but you've done me a huge favor just by doing that. Just like Kim, you've done me a huge favor by joining me for this chance encounter. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you. I've been waiting. Thank you for making it so much fun.
Awesome. Thanks.
I just want to tell you, because I've actually seen your website, Real Estate is a Scam, before, and I loved it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I think it's really so spot on. There's good stuff, bad stuff in every industry.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. For Dan the Man.
And thank you. Turn that subscribe button from red like his beard to gray like his beard will be.
So I met Dan through some networking groups for real estate investing. He's a great guy from what I know about him. He's very ambitious, and he makes it easy to come on with his questions and has a great setup. It's easy, it's clear, concise, and I'd recommend going on his interviews for anyone that's considering it.
It was unlike anything I've ever experienced. It was super fun. The process was so easy, a caveman can do it. I mean, if you guys haven't done it yet, you guys need to get on his calendar. Just take 15 minutes of your time, get exposure, find out who Dan is, what he's about. He's a true trifecta. And if you don't know who he is, get in touch with him. Google his name, find him on LinkedIn, do whatever you can. Just reach out to him.
So I really appreciate the format. Like I've told you a couple times before, I think it's really great because me personally, I'm very long-winded. I have to purposefully make things more concise, but the way I take things in is I definitely prefer things to be concise and straight to the point and concentrated. And the chance encounters really do that great for individuals. So you can get a good grasp on who they are, what do they do, why do they do it, what space do they operate in. That's why I love chance encounters.